Tonight, 13 Investigates has learned of another death at an addiction recovery center operated by Landmark Recovery. 13 News has been investigating Landmark since the state of Indiana shut down 3 of its facilities in our state. This happened after 3 patients died in 1 week at this rehab center near South Bend. And 13 Investigates discovered police and paramedics were called to Landmark facilities here in Indiana hundreds of times for assaults, rapes, drug overdoses, seizures, and suicide attempts. Tonight, our investigative reporter Bob Siegel explains what just happened inside another Landmark rehab center and why police tonight are investigating it as a murder.
It's a place people go to try to get better. But on Sunday night, a patient at this addiction treatment center in Louisville died. According to police, the patient in room 19 was strangled by another patient who is now charged with her murder. Internal sources tell 13 Investigates the suspect entered the patient's room around 8:54 with a towel around her neck and then closed the door. Police say surveillance footage shows the suspect then left the room 4 minutes later with no towel, at which point the victim was seen lying on the ground. It was not until an hour later, 9:57, when staff discovered the woman's body. According to this police report, 48-year-old Angela Hensley later told investigators the victim said she wanted to die, so I killed her. Hensley said she went back to room 19 several times because she wasn't dead yet. And using an expletive, she said, I finished killing her. It's just the latest chapter in a troubling story involving Praxis and its parent company, Landmark Recovery.
It was just a nightmare.
I experienced nothing but neglect.
And scary as hell.
Over the past year, former patients and staff talked with 13 Investigates about what they call a pattern of severe understaffing and neglect that they say contributed to injuries and deaths at the company's rehab centers near South Bend and Fort Wayne. William Harris took his own life while he was a patient at the South Bend facility. And records show state investigators determined suicidal patients like William were not monitored frequently enough. Based on low staffing levels, this former Landmark employee said proper supervision was impossible.
Patients were left unattended every day, multiple times a day, every night, multiple times a night.
Patients who were supposed to be watched closely?
Intensively.
Did you raise your concerns to the leadership?
Repeatedly.
What response did you get?
None. It just got worse.
Why did you leave?
Because people were dying, and I couldn't be a part of that. We failed them. We failed all of them in some way.
Did Landmark also fail the patient who was murdered this week in Louisville? This police report suggests a full hour passed between the time when Hensley entered the victim's room and when staff found her body. Was the victim being monitored the way she was supposed to be? Landmark CEO Matt Boyle told 13 Investigates, I personally reviewed the medical record of the patient in question for the 24 hours leading up to the incident and can confirm that all medical orders pertaining to patient observations and medical interventions were documented as followed. He also said the Praxis facility in Louisville has consistently demonstrated compliance with tough industry standards, passing recent accreditation surveys with no citations. This is the first time 13 Investigates has heard any response from Landmark Recovery since we first started asking questions months ago. The CEO of Landmark spoke with 13 News this week not just about the death that just happened in Louisville. He also addressed the problems Landmark has been dealing with at its facilities here in Indiana. It was just a few months ago that company managers told 13 News Landmark is actively trying to reopen some of its shutdown rehab centers in Indiana. And 13 Investigates discovered Boyle had already submitted applications to reopen the Carmel and Bluffton facilities, with applications submitted under new corporate names. Following our recent investigation, the CEO now tells 13 News plans have changed. This week, Boyle told me he will not reopen Landmark's Carmel, Bluffton, and Mishawaka rehab centers that were shut down by the state. In a statement, he said, we have no plans to open any additional facilities in Indiana, but are proud of the work we did to demonstrate to the state that we are a transformed company.
That's a positive thing for the state of Indiana.
Attorney Trevor Crossan represents more than 100 patients who are now suing Landmark due to alleged negligence and hazardous conditions inside Landmark's Indiana rehab centers. Crossan says hearing Landmark will not reopen its troubled facilities is a relief because he believes the company has focused on profits instead of patients, with dangerous results.
While I agree that Indiana needs to have these facilities for its citizens, I don't think that Landmark and their executive team are the right people to open those facilities here in Indiana. And if you don't put the patient first, then these sorts of things are going to happen, and they're going to continue to happen.
Landmark CEO says the company's Indiana facilities and license could be transferred to another tenant. While Landmark is not reopening centers here in Indiana, it is preparing to open a new treatment center next week in Colorado. In the meantime, the suspect in Louisville pleaded not guilty this morning. Police continue to investigate to determine what happened inside that rehab center that led to murder. I'm Bob Siegel, 13 Investigates.
If you want to learn more about what former patients are saying that they saw happen inside the Indiana recovery centers, go to WTHR Plus and then stream the entire investigation on demand.